So recently I rewatched the first 3 Twilight movies. I think I watched the first 3 when I was a kid, or maybe I only watched the first 2. I don't know. Anyway, I recently rewatched the Twilight movies that I'd seen, and then I also watched the last 2. And it makes me angry. It makes me really angry. Mostly because, I don't know, like I said last time I was talking about this, I'm kind of a pedantic little bastard about it. About anything I watch, really. I can't watch things without kind of ruining it. You know, like acquaintances, I almost said friends. Whew, that was close. Acquaintances sometimes just won't watch like rom-coms or horror movies or things like that with me. Partially because I hate horror movies. They freak me out. But also partially because I'll just pick it apart. I just get annoyed at inconsistencies or logical fallacies, right? You know, like it'll be a horror movie where like the monster's an unkillable like creature or whatever, and then they like, I don't know, beat it back with a baseball bat. I'm like, if they could fight it with a baseball bat, someone could have killed this thing with a gun. That kind of stuff. Yeah, there's no suspension of disbelief around me because I think suspension of disbelief is a turn of phrase that is only given grace towards people who are choosing not to world build because they don't want to be like overly descriptive and hurt the narrative by like focusing too much on raw details. You know, like Tolkien spending 32 pages talking about tree bark. I do not give suspension of disbelief to writers who try to have consistencies in their writing and then clearly don't. And that, in my opinion, is Twilight in a nutshell. That is Twilight in its totality. There's times when the author clearly wants to set up world building and like lore and narrative and then throws that out the window in the very next step. So that's pretty fucking annoying. No one hates Twilight more than Robert Pattinson. I really don't blame Robert Pattinson. I get it. I would be very annoyed too, because obviously your face is plastered all over that and you got to deal with it. You would think that Taylor Lautner hated it more than him, but nope. I can never look at Twilight books and not see the moron coding in it. Mormon! Oh, is she Mormon? That explains it. There was a lot of like hyper, there was a lot of messaging in the movie that I was like, wow, this is pretty traditional. And I don't mean slash positive in a lot of cases. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with whatever, but you know, I was like, interesting. Peach, I think for 16 months, the author had so much opportunity to build a world and more backstory of vampire and werewolf lore, but just threw it out. Now I watch it for laughs, as you should. Here's my thoughts. This is not going to be structured rambling. I'm just going to ramble. I'm just going to go off whatever I feel like talking about. And right now what I want to talk about is why I'm Team Edward, because I'm sure everybody's curious. They're like, what the hell, dude? You're Team 109 years old freak? All right, listen. I am Team Edward because after watching the movies, I recognize Edward has been abused and manipulated. And I know what you're thinking. But Crimzon motherfucking Ruze. Edward is a 109-year-old man. Yes, I agree. What Edward did was creepy and weird. And being in high school as a 109-year-old man is irredeemable and bad. Okay? Let's get that out of the way right off the bat. However, I am also going to get this out of the way. Bella is a manipulator and a bad person, and I'm not Team Bella. I'm not Team Jacob. I am Team Edward being single and happy. I am Team Charlie hopefully finding a new love of his life and being happy. I'm sorry. Bella's a motherfucking freak. Every single moment that Edward establishes a fucking boundary, Bella has to step past it, has to sidestep it, or just guilt trip him, or in some ways just like outright like cruelly like use herself as a victim to force him to do things he does not want to do, just constantly. And I mean just constantly, and to the point of, I would say, cruelty. It's pretty fucked up. I mean, I don't know if she ever once alleviates his fear that she's only interested in him for immortality, or even tries, really, other than being like, no, I'm in love with you, babe. Like, she's Kyle. If Bella was a white man, her name would be Kyle, and she would punch holes in walls. because Bella, every time she's confronted with like kind of bad behavior or like ignoring Edward's desires or wishes, or even just trying to find compromise in the relationship, no, babe, I love you. Babe, all I know is that I've never loved anything more than you, babe. Babe, please, babe. Babe, seriously, for real. For real. Like, our love it's different. It's different. But anyway, please make babies with me, please. And Edward's like, dude, I would literally kill you. I'm so terrified I'm gonna hurt you. And it is a genuine, constant burden to be close to you in a way where I am afraid I could shatter you like a frail little porcelain doll. And she's like, oh, but just try. Don't you care about me? Don't you care? Just try. Please try. And he's like, dude, what? Can you imagine how unfun that is for him? Can you imagine how like terrifying and sad that is? To be like, yeah, this is my experience with being like close physically with my partner is all I can think about is don't kill her, 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 don't kill her. That sucks. That's terrible. That is so sad for that to be your core memory of being with this person. And then them being like, but please, babe, I really need to fuck. Like, come on, dude. That's so evil. That's so mean. That's so shitty. And then he's like, please, can we just please wait until you're like at least a vampire? Can we like wait until I don't have to be afraid of hurting you? She's like, no, babe, please. But babe, there's a scene that sticks out to me. You have to understand, I come from a perspective of somebody who stopped watching once it got a little too romantic because I just didn't give a shit as a kid. So I just this is all new elements to me for the most part. The scene that sticks out to me is when she's like, let's fucking get it, brother. And he's like, no, I don't want to hurt you. And she's like, please just try. And he's like, no, dude, I don't want to hurt you. She's like, but while I'm still while I still want you like this. And he had just gotten done saying, I think you'll be a different person if you're a vampire. She's like, no, I won't change. I'll be exactly who I am. I want to be like you. You're a person just like me. I swear. I don't think any differently of you. And then in 2 seconds later is like, but I'll be different, babe. I won't be like me. What if I don't want you like this? What if I'm a monster? And it's like, so you're calling him a monster. You're saying he is a weirdo. He is a freak. He's a freak, and you're afraid you're going to be a freak. So please, please, please step past your boundaries for me while I'm still a person, is what you're saying. So you're just being a bad dude all the way around. You're so mean. God, Bella. She's manipulative and not good at it, and Edward's just so desperate and emotionally vulnerable that he's getting manipulated by somebody who's actually genuinely bad at it. Listen, I think most people probably don't watch these movies with a critical eye because it's just about how hot Edward is and how it's a will they, won't they type of deal, and I get that. But like, if you watch this with a critical eye, it's genuinely, Edward is a victim constantly. Yes, he was a weirdo. Yes, he should not have been anywhere near high school. That's super fucked up. And I'm not excusing that. This is not a statement of this alleviates his guilt. This is a statement of Bella's a bad person. And he is a bad person too, but she's a bad person. Not you psychoanalyzing a funny bad series. I'll rewatch New Moon again. I will always psychoanalyze everything I watch. So if you don't want it psychoanalyzed, don't tell me to watch it. If you ever say, Crimzon Ruze, please watch this series, it's just funny and silly, and you don't think I'm going to pick apart the characters in it or the world building, honey, you got a storm coming. Fenrir, think of it, 22 months. Yeah, Bella reflects a lot of my dating in high school. She wants to step past boundaries, and I stand there aura farming with my eyes closed. I know that feeling, brother. We shared that experience. Meyer says, it's worse because Twilight has a thing where soulmates are forced in vampire lore, so Edward's essentially forced to stay with his abuser. That fucking sucks. That's kind of like the weird imprinting thing, but we'll get to that in a minute. Thank you for the soup, Myra. Lynn Alexis, think of it, 22 months, says, you're actually cooking. Also, my favorite part of Twilight is Paramore on the soundtrack. Oh, yeah. Good taste, good taste. Zuna, thank you for the chip. All right. So. Yeah, I said the I word. I said imprinting. I'll say it again, dude. Oh, we're going to get to the fucking imprinting. I'm not done. Oh, brother, I'm going to fucking lose it. I'm going to go crazy about this. The music of Twilight is its redeeming quality, which is why everybody still remembers the supermassive black hole scene and how goofy it was. Supermassive baseball. Listen. I feel bad for Edward on so many levels. Now let's take a look at Edward, and I'm going to say something you will almost never hear me say in any context. And I'm going to say, let's look at Edward within the context of the time he was raised, Whoa, boo! Boo, Crimzon Ruze, boo! Ew, ew. He was a product of his era, Crimzon Ruze. Ew, I didn't expect, boo! The crowd hated that. The crowd goes mild, but no, for real. I would never use that as an excuse to excuse someone's shitty behavior in a modern context. I wouldn't excuse that on a human being, but this is an immortal vampire who was changed into an immortal when he was like a 17-year-old boy. Now let's look at the context in which he was probably raised 109 years ago. I'm going to assume he was raised in a relatively like Catholic society in which there was a certain culturally accepted norm about how you approached people you were interested in and people you know, wished to be intimate with or bind your life to through like holy matrimony or whatever the fuck it is you believe in or Edward believes in. And I'm not saying that some of those ideals are good, but I am saying that he clearly stated he is not comfortable moving past those boundaries and that there is a way he is used to those things going. And he would like to move very slowly and at best hold hands and walk in fields of flowers while being like chaperoned by a parental figure. Maybe steal a kiss once in a blue moon. That's the level Edward's on. Edward's at a level where he's like, I am barely comfortable holding your hand and kissing you besides the wanting to kill you thing. Like that aside, intimately, I don't want to be intimate. I don't think that's appropriate. And Bella's like, that's so old school. Babe, come on. Let's fuck. And Edward's like, I don't like that. And Bella's like, I don't care. So anyway, and dude, like, how is that not abuser 101? That's so fucked up, man. That's so mean. That's so fucked up. It's to her, it's like, this is so sexy because it's dangerous. To him, it's my immortal soul is damned. I am damning her immortal soul. And all of that aside, I'm becoming a worse person actively, and she's encouraging it. And he loves her so much. He's like, well, I don't see the bad in what she's doing. I'm just a fucking like prude Luddite who can't give her what she wants. I guess I'll be like, run off with this other dude, even though it'll break my heart. It's so shitty, dude. It's so shitty. No, that's a red flag too. Hold on, Bernie buddy. We're getting there. Anyway, so Edward tries to do things in his mind the right way. He's like, can we get married to, like, you know, because it's part of my belief system or whatever. And whether you believe those beliefs or not, personally, I'm, you know, I don't hold any particularly strong faith in any direction. However, in his belief structure, being married is the right thing to do culturally. It's the culturally acceptable thing to do. And she's like, no, it's lame. People are going to think I got pregnant, which, spoilers, she does get pregnante. But like, dude, seriously, you can't give him this one thing. You can't abide by this one minor thing he wants. You don't even have to make it public. You could have just gotten married privately. But you can't abide by this one thing. To me, that's a red flag. That's a red flag to me. If a dude ever approaches you and is like, hey man, like, please, can I get some fuck? And you're like, I don't know, like, let's be in a relationship for a while and like get to know each other, and I'm not comfortable with that. And he's like, yeah, but please though, please. And you're like, fine, let's at least get married. And he's like, no, but let's fuck. That's a red flag. That's a fucking red flag, brother. Bella is a walking red flag. She's really not cool. It's not just the way she treats Edward, by the way. It's just the more I watched the series, the more I recognized how incredibly uncomfortable and unhappy Edward was. And I was like, damn, this motherfucker getting abused. That sucks, dude. That's sad. And the way she treats Jacob, now Jacob's a piece of shit too. Can't stand Jacob. Bad guy all the way around. But Bella, I'm like, I think you have a sociopathic need for attention. I think you will do anything for attention, even being around some dude who is clearly quite a creep. Quite a creep. And a danger to you, aside from that. Do you think she's doing it on purpose? I mean, yeah, there's no other explanation. Okay, I take that back. Muggs, I think the reality is Bella is incredibly poorly written and is just a vessel for isn't this so sexy. Bella has no personality, no drive, no hobbies, and no wants or desires, other than, I'm assuming, the author's, like, faith and biases and being completely devoid of flavor so that anybody can be like, I'm Bella. But I think when you do that and have a character like that, and their sole drive is how sexy is this, then they focus on nothing else, including other characters' comfort around them. So in the real context, Bella is just poorly written. In the context of if Bella was a person, there is no other explanation other than, at best, she is ignorant and stupid and uncaring of the people around her to the point where she hurts them constantly. At worst, she is an active manipulator. Not a good one, but one who seeks to manipulate people to get whatever she wants. What's a good manipulator then? One that's not inherently transparent. One that leads their, like, manipulated target to their conclusions on their own. One that weaves a web of lies that cannot be disproven or proven and uses gaslighting to get what they want instead of ham-fistedly just being like, but babe, I want it, and I don't care about your boundaries. That's a good manipulator. A good manipulator is somebody you probably don't know is manipulating you until you're in a situation where you have Stockholm syndrome or you feel reliant on them, and then they reveal that they're a manipulator, usually because they realize they no longer have to keep up the facade. That's a good manipulator. Now, is that a good thing? No. By good, I mean skilled, not good. Rie says, Twilight is a self-insert fanfic with Gerard Way, by the way. With Gerard Way, that's right. Holy shit, I forgot about that. Also, thanks for the sue. I did know that 50 Shades was a Twilight fanfic. Here's the other thing that annoys me about this franchise is there is so many ways this could have been written interestingly. You know what? No, let's talk about Jacob first. Let's go ahead and just get the two main love interests out of the way. Jacob's a problem. Jacob is a bad dude. Jacob is a dude who you could try to be like, oh well, you know, he's just a guy. He can't control the wolf. But they don't even write it that way. He's just a bad dude. He doesn't even imprint. He's just kind of a bad guy. He's selfish. He's self-motivated. Here comes the fucking big Gert. Hold on. God fucking fuck me. Oh, why do you make the EU time slot so painful for me, big Gert? You were the first I've heard to see it from Edward's side. I'm sorry, dude, but like, I can't help but see it from side. And maybe it's just because Robert Pattinson's acting makes it look like he's got to vomit or take a shit 24/7. No offense, Robert Pattinson. I know you were told to act like that. But I was like, damn, this dude's so uncomfortable. Big Gert's clearly Team Jacob, dude. Brother, let's talk about Jacob a little bit. Let's get the fucking dog out of the room. Let's address the giant fucking dog in the room. You got that dog in him. All right. I would argue that he became a bad guy, started becoming a bad guy when he became a wolf. I would agree. There's a couple things about Jacob that I really do not like. Now, I do not have any say or room or space to speak on how Stephanie Meyer wrote Native Americans or any of the issues facing them, though they do have quite a few that face them aside from, like, even in the modern era, especially considering, like, you know, the way, like, the reservations and cultural, like, norms are constantly stepped upon. That's not my business here. I can't talk about that because I don't know enough about that, but I can almost assure you it's handled very poorly, especially the notion around, like, the weird, like, gang violence that was implied before Bella knew they were werewolves. But anyway, we'll talk about that some other time because that's not my place to talk about, because I don't have enough knowledge about it. So there you go. Muse, thank you for 21 months, by the way. My Chemical Romance refused to be on the movie soundtrack despite the entire begging Myers did with huge cash and wrote Vampire Money as the cap off to Danger Days. It's on the Best Dive songs, highly recommended on the album. Huh. Okay. Good to know. Thank you, My Chemical Romance. You saved your legacy. Anyway, it's not great. And I believe, what Survey said, I believe she used a real life tribe. And they're still fighting werewolf allegations to this day, apparently. So that's rough. That sucks. You could have just made something up, but you chose not to. Anyway, whatever. The way she handled that is neither here nor there for me because I cannot comment on that. However, what I can comment on is how she used Jacob as a character. And I'm going to say it. He's just poorly written. First of all, why was Bella, like, creeping on this kid? He was a kid when she met him. That was weird to me. But we'll move on from that. We'll just ignore that because let's move on to when Jacob's an adult, and Jacob's the creep. So Jacob won't take no, super incel behavior personified. I mean, like, just hardcore all the time. He's both somehow simultaneously one of the worst dudes I've ever met and one of the most pathetic. And by met, I mean, like, you know, had to watch on screen. He was like 14 and being used as a weird tool in her weird war, used as a tool in her weird war against Edward. Listen, the way she manipulated Jacob wasn't cool either. However, Jacob was as guilty, if not worse, in many cases. Is Jacob ever an adult in the series? I think so, yes. I think that, I agree, Mr. Gooseberry Channel. That would have been a great way to... That would have been a better movie. There's many ways this movie could have been better, and I'll explain how in a minute. And I promise you, by the time you walk away from here, you're going to be angry that this wasn't the angle that was taken. But Jacob was very young at the start of the first book. I think he was... Oh, there you go. 15. He was 18, I believe, by the final book. But they tried to be like, oh, but his body aged up to like a 25-year-old man or some shit, which doesn't make it better and honestly makes it creepy on both ends. But Bella was a weirdo for like constantly dragging this kid along and being too interested in him. But I guess in her defense, she was a kid too in the first book. So they were just kids. Sure. Later on, she's just a weirdo. And then later on, he's a worse weirdo. My main issue with Jacob is that he's just kind of sad and also creepy. There's many instances he could have tried to make this right. Like, if Jacob had just tried to get... Okay, listen, if Jacob had been in the big 2025 and just shown Bella ABO fanfics, he would have had a better chance. I'll say it. I'll fucking say it. I'm not sorry. If Jacob had been like, Bella, no, Bella, look, like, check this out. I need you to read this. It's important. It's good literature. He would have had a better chance. And she would have fucking been into it, too. Bella's a fucking weirdo. Bella's a little freak. Not that you're a freak if you like ABO. But Bella would be like, cool. Anyway. I think Jacob's problem is he didn't have the language to explain what it was he was trying to talk about, I think. Right? So Jacob, at one point, proposes polyamory. He says it in the worst way possible and without any way to understand what he's talking about and through the lens of the author's clear bias. And Bella is, to her credit, not interested. And that should have been the end of it. That should have been the, okay, actually, never mind. But no, Jacob can't take no because he's a little weirdo. I think Edward broaches poly first, maybe in the books, but not in the movies. Jacob's the only one who mentions polyamory, and it's mentioned in the most pathetic way possible, and it's very annoying. And obviously, nobody would be interested in that way because you're being a whiny, pouty baby about it, and you mention it like it's some strange taboo. Which, whatever, man, I get it. It was written in like 2000, whatever the fuck. But dude, come on. Like, if you're gonna present the idea, present the fucking idea. Like, don't be a weirdo about it. Anyway, to cut a long story short, or rather to lay some groundwork real quick, really fast. Jacob starts out interested in Bella. They're childhood friends. Bella's not that interested in Jacob. Jacob realizes he's a werewolf. Bella gets with Edward. Jacob violates Bella's, like, wishes and also autonomy, and also is just a creep and forces a kiss on her when they're alone and she's vulnerable and she's on his reserve and in a place where she can't really defend herself because she's out in the wilds or whatever, and it's already been established that werewolves are dangerous and temperamental. Then she punches him in the face, and somehow they stay friends. Bella, to her dumbass credit, is like, yeah, but he's still my best friend because she likes the attention. And I don't mean that in like a misogynistic, like, oh, girls just want attention way. Bear with me. She's codependent on Jacob being around her, comforting her when she's having trouble with Edward. And that's not good. That's not good because she allows Jacob to feel the same level of dependence on her and more so, and kind of tugs that along, not in a friend zone sort of way, because got to be careful about how I discuss this, just in case. I'm not saying you cannot be friends with people. I'm saying that she understands Jacob's feelings for her and does not address them or rebuff them well enough, and in fact, at times, puts herself in situations where she has to be copacetic to them, which is fucked up, but because she doesn't want to lose her friend Jacob, which I get it, but hey man, don't be selfish. Cut that boy off. Y'all, let's just use a Megaverse. Yes, she's very clingy and she very much craves attention in I would say a very unhealthy way. A very, very unhealthy way that is damaging to her relationships and dangerous to her physically. Rie, that's because the rules of the universe do not apply unless it's convenient, and I'll explain that in a moment. Cycle of toxicity for real. Don't worry, we're going to get to the inconsistencies because there's a lot, and it pisses me off, and that is one of the many parts of the fucking franchise. I was losing my mind. Sorry, I'm going to try not to get too loud. I'm going to try not to freak out during latte time, all right? We're chilling. We're chilling. It's a morning latte. We're going to chill. We're going to chill. Sometimes you have to be too nice because you don't want the guy to hurt you. Just don't put yourself in a situation where you're near the guy, is in this case. Now, I know that's not always a choice, and I know in the moment, sometimes you have to be nice for your own safety, and I agree with that. You should be to get out of those situations, and then get the fuck out of those situations. Don't keep calling the guy when he's not answering. And the crazy part is, Jacob tries to like cut her off many times. Now it's a shitty douchebag manipulative, like, I just won't call her and then it'll hurt her the way she hurt me. Like, no, it's not like a good cutoff. It's not for good reasons. But he tries to go cold turkey and leave, essentially, and not talk to her, and she won't leave him the fuck alone, which is super shitty. Ghosts her ass, but she can't read the signs. That's what I'm saying, dude. Come on, Bella. Jeez. Well, of course, Trekkie. I mean, I think that's the moral of the story, is that the author's ideal partner is someone who's obsessive and codependent and wants nothing to do with anybody but you. And I will get to that in a second as well. Rose, thank you for the 5 gifted chips. Frankly, I just don't like Bella as a character because she demands the attention of everybody around her and demands to be the most specialist person in the room at any given moment. And if it's not happening, then the universe bends around it, which is convenient. But the few times the universe doesn't bend around it, she's pretty pissed about it, if you haven't noticed. So anyway, Jacob is a bad dude. We've established this. Let's keep it moving. Jacob clearly does not respect boundaries. He tries to force himself physically on Bella. She says no. He says, I won't ever do that again unless it's something you ask of me. And then, of course, he's about to go put himself in danger, and she asks it of him. There's a scene later where there's a big fight with a bunch of vampires or whatever, and he's about to go out there, and she's worried he's going to get himself killed because he's emotionally vulnerable and he's hurt. So she begs him to stay, and the only way she can get him to stay is if she asks him to kiss her. So she asks Jacob to kiss her. Now, this, in my opinion, is not shitty of Bella. This is shitty of Jacob. Jacob gave her an ultimatum. The equivalent of this scene, what just happened in that scene, right, is Jacob basically says, I won't push your boundaries unless you want me in that way, but then says, but also, if you don't want me in that way, I'm going to go kill myself. That's what he says. That's literally, that is exactly what that scene is. That's how that scene plays out. Jacob says, if you don't ask me, if this is your only recourse, this is the only way I'm going to stay, is if you ask me to fucking kiss you. And he puts her in a situation where she has to. It's evil. It's evil. That's manipulation. Bella is bad at manipulation. An example of effective manipulation is pulling at somebody's morality and essentially demanding that they step past their boundaries for you, or you will harm yourself and place the moral burden upon them. That's manipulation. Somebody asked me earlier, well, what's a good manipulator? That's good manipulation. Not in a good way, like morally good, but in a skillful way. He put her in a situation where she could not say no and feel morally okay with what she'd done, which is shitty. Terrible. Everyone's the asshole. It's true. Oh my God, my internet. Hold on. So anyway, Jacob's a bad dude. Bella's a bad dude. Edward's a fucking creep. And in some ways, and this is the only time I will ever give this person the pass on this statement, and only for a supernatural immortal entity, he is a product of his times. Name one thing you like about Twilight, quick. Some of the character design wasn't the worst sometimes. The lighting in some shots were genuinely beautiful. Nah, don't get me started on Alice. Hold on. I'm about to lose my fucking shit about Alice. I'm about to lose my shit about Alice. I'm about to be mad, dude. Oh, brother. Oh, man, every time I'm about to talk about something I'm going to be mad at, the ISP goes down. Bye, ISP. I'll miss you. I don't care. I'm gonna keep going. Okay. Anyway, so there's a scene, right, in that same scene where Jacob basically forces Bella to kiss him. There's a scene where Jacob puts Edward in the cuck chair, which is a really weird fantasy. I don't know what the deal is there. Why are you mad about my girl? You'll see in a second. You'll see in a fucking second, all right? All right. So there's a scene where Edward gets sat in the cuck chair because Bella's freezing to death and Edward's body is, as we all know, very cold because he's a vampire, so he can't help her because they didn't bring enough blankets or a fucking space heater, I guess, because they're idiots. Anyway, so Jacob stays and he's like, don't worry, babe, I'll heat you up because apparently werewolf bodies run extra hot, ? I don't fucking know. So he climbs into the fucking like sleeping bag with her and lays there and then thinks about getting fucking, not to put too fine a point on it, but raw werewolf in it. He thinks about raw dogging it or whatever. And Edward, if you did not know this about Twilight, can read thoughts. He can't really turn it off very well. And Jacob just sits there and maintains eye contact with the dude while thinking these thoughts about this person, which is super fucked up and evil. That's so gross, dude. That's such like fucked behavior in so many ways. But also, man, if you wanted Edward, you should just say it, because it seems to me like Jacob is almost more attracted to pissing off Edward than he is to Bella. And I'm like, I think maybe this is a triangle in the truest sense and you don't recognize it. I don't think this is like a love competition. I think Jacob, deep down, you want Edward. That's weird, man. And not weird in like a that's bad way. I mean, it's weird because just say it, you fucking freak. Stop using Bella as a go-between. Also, stop thinking those thoughts, you fucking freak. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Anyway, Mushroom King says, Ruze, this is timely. I'm about to reread the books with the mindset of it being a toxic romance. Also, my mom's reading them for the first time. Help! Oh, I'm sorry, Mushroom King. Thank you for the soup, but your mom's not coming out of that same person. Rage baiting is a love language, real. It's true. It's funny as hell. I get it. I like pissing people off too. It's not a love language. I just like watching people get pissed off. But Jacob got the Homestuck romance system early. Jacob got that early DL. He said, hey, brother, I'm looking for a Kismasis. What you in for? And Edward said, what the fuck is that, Jacob? I was around when color TV was invented. Shut the fuck up. I don't know what that means. And Jacob said, no, check this out, Edward. Look, you're going to love me after this. Renegade. And Edward's like, what is happening? But anyway. Jacob tried to win him over with his TikTok dances. It didn't happen. Anyway, let's lock back in. So Jacob's a freak. We know this. Why do moms and aunts genuinely enjoy Twilight? Because they're reading it as sexy fanfic and not as like a critical analysis of character. And that's fair. I get it. Hey, Edward, watch this. Hits the... Brief fanfiction detour. I'm sorry I did a brief fanfiction detour. So they're in the tent. Jacob's being a fucking freak or whatever. And Edward, to his credit, and by to his credit, I mean to his completely out of character, nonsensical bullshit, completely shifts fucking gears. Imagine this. See, this is how I know this writer wasn't thinking about anything other than what would be sexy. We, for some reason, outside of Bella's POV, and I don't know why we're allowed to see this, we see Edward and Jacob talking to each other, even though Bella is asleep. And Jacob is clearly thinking about getting down and dirty, real fucking sloppy style with Bella, which is super weird. Because he's sitting there trying to keep her warm and she's pressed up against him or whatever. And Edward is reading his mind while he's thinking about this. And Edward lets him know he's reading their mind, right? Edward's like, hey man, you could at least control your fucking thoughts. And I'm like, oh, they're about to fight. Probably, right? Like, I'd be throwing fucking hands. I'd be like, hey, gross, dude. All right, listen, no more of this. Like, roll over so that your back is facing her at this point, you fucking freak. But no, he just says, you could at least control your thoughts. And then they get to talking for a second. And Jacob has the audacity to accuse Edward of being the bad guy in the situation. Jacob's like, oh, real maturity, and you could just pick through my thoughts, but you won't talk to me when I ask about yours? Like, what the fuck, bro? What the fuck? Seriously? Yeah, see, that's how I know you're a bad guy. Brother, I don't need you psychoanalyzing me. I read your mind. I know you're a bad guy. No, I'm not going to tell you shit about nothing. The only thing I'm going to tell you is my fucking hand going through your skull cavity, all right? I am going to put my fingers into one of your ears and out through your nose. What are you talking about? Anyway, that was frustrating for Jacob having the audacity to act like Edward was the bad guy in the room for reading his mind and being like, well, you're stepping past my boundaries and reading my thoughts, bro. All right? That's one. But then, in a complete subversion of character, nonsensically, and this is how I know it's only written because, wouldn't it be hot if they actually kind of liked each other? Edward's like, you know, if you weren't trying to steal the love of my life, maybe we could have been friends. Motherfucker, how? Either you're lying, either you're just saying shit, talking at your ass, or you're so lonely, it's so pathetic that you're like, yeah, this guy's thinking about fucking her and pushing past her boundaries and has also pushed her boundaries multiple times and is also just completely like wants me dead and wishes I wasn't in the picture and has actually considered killing me to save himself, Pete. But maybe we could be friends. That's somebody I could be friends with. Yeah. Edward, what? Edward, excuse me? What are you saying? What the fuck are you saying? You cannot stop me, Big Gert. You're not strong enough. All right, I'm sorry, Big Gert. I'm sorry. Okay. You know what, Big Gert? You win. I'll back off Jacob. I'm sorry. Let me switch gears. Okay. Anyway, Edward is so sad and so lonely, and it sucks for him. That's rough, buddy. We're back, baby. You can't silence me. You're not strong enough to stop me. Oh, I'm gonna get to fucking Alice in a second. Don't you fucking worry. I'm gonna get to Alice in one single solitary second. Ready? One. All right, so Alice sucks. I'm sorry, dude. Alice sucks. I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute. I'm gonna let you guys feel it. However, it's not her fault. It's not her fault. All right. Here's the problem with Alice. Alice is a vehicle for Bella feeling like the main character. And by that, I mean, Alice is again, Bella's Kyle, right? Alice is the third love interest. You don't understand this. Alice is, in many ways, the third love interest, but the one who is completely ignored and taken advantage of. So if Edward is the brooding, emotionally vulnerable, but also distant, like cold one who, you know, the main character really, really, really wants, but it's hard to crack their shell, and Jacob is the angry, pushy one who doesn't understand boundaries and is borderline a predator, Alice is the one who will bend over backwards, doing everything for you, no matter what, forever. I swear to God, ISP, if you don't fucking... Oh, my God. Big Gert, I will flay you alive. If you do not fix this ISP this fucking instant, Big Gert. All right. Anyway, here's my thoughts about Alice. Alice is the third love interest, and by that, I don't mean in any fun or cool way. Like, the author was not brave enough to write Toxic Yuri, so no, that does not happen. Alice is the love interest who is not in any way in the running or competition and thinks they are, and for some reason is just obsessed with the protagonist as the two actual love interests, and is just doting on her and obsessing over her and doing everything for her all the time, no matter what, for no fucking reason. What does Alice get out of this relationship? I don't know. Nothing. Bella doesn't express an interest in her hobbies, anything she likes, anything she does. She is just the platonic ideal for best friend fantasy, in which you have to put no effort in, and your best friend literally, and I do mean literally, does everything for you. Alice plans her whole fucking wedding because Alice is just such a cool girl who doesn't give a shit about that kind of stuff. Even though it is so important to Edward in one of the biggest moments of his life, the thing he's been waiting 109 years to do, and the only stopgap that would allow him to feel comfortable bringing Bella into his fucking world. The only thing that he asked of her to turn her into a vampire is, please marry me. Literally the most important day of his life, but she can't be fucking bothered, dude. She can't. I'm too cool for this. Is this necessary? Do I need to dress up? Do I need to participate in all of this ceremony? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. This is so important to your love of your life that you're so obsessed with that you would die without. And you don't give a fuck. You don't give a single solitary fuck. Meanwhile, Miss No fucking personality, no drive outside of how big a fucking Bella can she suck off. Alice is out here like, I'll plan the whole wedding. Don't worry. It'll be fun. Shut the fuck up. Get yourself off the ground, girl. Get some standards. Don't you have a Jasper to run back to? Why are you so obsessed with smooching Bella? Listen, this has nothing to do with you, all right? Let Bella plan a fucking thing, for fuck's sake. Jesus Christ. Alice is there to move the plot along because she can see the future, apparently, and literally obsess over Bella. She puts herself in the cuck chair. Later, after they get married, Alice takes them to the fuck house. I, out loud, to myself, said, this is the fuck house. As a joke. It wasn't a joke, it turns out. There's a scene after they get married where they're given their own little house, and I lost my shit. I was like, why the fuck is there a house out here that isn't part of Carlisle's mansion? I was like, what the fuck is this? This is so dumb. Why do they get their own house? I'm like, why is Bella the main character? Like, is Alice not married to Jasper? Is Emmett not married to Rosalie? Is Carlisle not married to whatever the fuck his, like, nameless, boring wife that does nothing and has no relevant plot moment is? Are they not all also fucking banging? Nah, only Bella and Edward get it. And then it hit me. I was like, wait, that's the house they send the newlyweds to when they're first vampires to fuck in, because it's going to be annoying. And they said, yep, that's true, actually. They literally confirmed that. And I was like, what? And then Alice is like, haha, I fully furnished it for you. I got it already. Girl, get off the ground. Get off the fucking ground. I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind. What do you mean? Oh, I just had a Sunday afternoon, so I thought, well, I've seen 1,000 visions of the future where they're fucking, and that was really fun, so I'm gonna make it a reality now. What are you talking? I swear to God, I will lose my mind. Fully furnished with what, Alice? Are you crouched in the living room waiting for Bella to sit on you? Because you're acting like a goddamn stool. What the fuck are you talking about? You goddamn dust-ridden fucking old-ass grandma couch-looking piece of shit. Alice, there's nothing even wrong with you, but why are you obsessed with this who gives you nothing? I agree, Jelly Star. Alice is very beautiful. The actress is great. The hairstyle, everybody loves the fucking cool feathered hair. They actually do. Every fucking young girl was cutting their hair in high school trying to get the Alice look, and you know you can't do that. Bro, I'm watching my, like, kilobytes per second shoot up to, like, 400,000 and then slowly inch away down to zero over and over and over and over again. Fuck up Supreme indeed. Nobody tells me when to cut my streams off. I don't care if Big Gert has a problem with it. They can fucking deal with it. I'm the streamer and they're gonna... Okay. Nice. This is it. This is my day now. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna sit here and just fucking... I guess do battle with Big Gert. I don't give a shit. I will stream as long as it takes to put the thorn directly up their fucking urethra. So help me God, I will throw a shrapnel grenade down their esophagus. I will smite their bloodline. I will find every employee behind Big Gert, and I will tear down the foundations of the internet in this world and the next. I will find them, and they will rue the goddamn day they decided to fuck with Crimzon Ruze. The streams will run Crimzon before I'm done. Oh, hey guys, I'm back. Sorry. Hi, Muggs. Hi, Alza. Thanks for the soup. Anyway, I'm the streamer, and they're gonna have to fucking deal with it. Anyway, it's just... Twilight's just... It has so many fucking problems. And this is just the characters so far, right? Like, I haven't even talked about the inconsistencies or, like, the main character syndrome or how, like, the whole world bends over backwards to make Bella feel like she's the most important special ooh-woo being in the universe, but has no actual drive, goals, or personality or anything interesting. Even the stupid fuck house, right? The fuck house scene, Bella and Edward are like getting it on or whatever. It's so hot. And Bella's like, oh, like, wow, wow, this whole house is just for us. And Edward drops the fucking bomb of like, nah, it's for anybody who gets newlywed. Emmett and Rosalie were here for like ever, for like a decade. And Bella's like, I think we'll be here longer. And they literally go back to the main house the day after. The day after. Fucking Emmett catches him and is like, wait, you guys are back already? He's like, huh? Oh. Like, well, where was all that big talk, brother? Where was that, oh, we'll need it longer? Emmett's literally like, huh? Oh, all right. And you want to know why they're back already? Because Edward doesn't like Bella. Sorry. I'm not kidding. It's almost as if this is a poorly written series meant to be a teenage fulfillment fantasy and nothing more. I don't care. Put it out there, I criticize it. That's how it works. I am the epitome of the guy who's like, I'm not a hater, but I am. Don't worry, I am. Don't worry. I am. I'll do it for you. I'll be the hero the world needed. Oh my God, finally. Just what the internet needed. A white guy who's willing to critique things that have nothing to do with him. Finally, someone is brave enough to step up and take the mantle and put it on their shoulders. And it's me. I'm ready. I'm ready to be the hero you needed. It's him. It's the one criticism man. It's bitch boy. He's here. He's here to bitch. And I will. I'll complain until my voice gives out. I'll complain until the planet ends. When the inevitable heat death of the universe approaches and entropy comes calling at your doorstep to stop the atoms in your very fucking body because you've run out of the energy to literally move, when all force is drained from this reality, my hate, my cantankerous bullshit, my whiny complaining about like the intricacies of world building that don't belong in a story that's about teenage fulfillment, it will remain. My heat will keep this universe running through just raw, pointless criticism of things that do not merit that criticism. You're welcome. It's important to have hobbies. Yeah. Yeah, actually, you know what? An adult wrote this. I don't even give it the teenage fantasy pass. Fuck this. Okay, so, moving forward. Alice is cool, but just a fulfillment fantasy for Bella to be like, wow, what if I had a best friend who, like, did everything for me and I had to contribute nothing? Okay, annoying. Very annoying. I don't like that. Alice's actress, very beautiful, super cool hairstyle. I'm also a sucker for the feathered hair look. It's super cool. No one can actually pull it off unless you want to use a lot of hairspray in 4 hours every morning. All right, moving on. Can we talk about how dirty the author and the movies did Rosalie, though? No, because they did it. They really were. They were evil to Rosalie. Rosalie, whatever. They were evil to Rosalie, and it was not cool. Rosalie is the one with no superpowers who's just always pissed off all the time. I think that's her superpower. And she's more beautifulier than the other vampires, I think is technically what they give her as her power. That's it. I don't even think that's a power. I think she just happens to be good looking, I guess. I don't fucking know. She's just mad sometimes. You don't remember her backstory? You don't want to remember her backstory. It's pretty bad. It's pretty brutal. And Jasper is the character who had no personality, no drive, and no lore until they decided they needed to give him some, and then they slid a fucking southern accent in there out of kind of nowhere. So yeah. The accent was something, dude. She knew Ella was horrible to Edward. Rosalie, the only real one? Probably. Didn't they make Jasper a Confederate soldier? Yup. Yeah, well, there you go. Anyway, moving on. Thank you for your hard work. I now know more than I needed to about Twilight. You're welcome, Tinko. And thank you for 18 months. Let's talk a little bit about the world building of this, right? And how this could have been a more interesting story and why I'm angry. And I don't have like a bunch of written down points or anything. I'm just going to touch on some things that particularly pissed me off as a person while watching, and things I would have done if I were I'm not a writer. As much as I criticize this work, it was written down. Someone took the time to write it, edit it, write it again, edit it, write it again. That is incredibly hard. That is not easy. Not everybody can do that. I've never done that. However, off the top of my head, here's what I would have focused on as an author and things I wish had been focused on as an author. Ways this story could have been better, in my opinion. 1. Why the fuck did we not focus on the vampires, the Cullens? Right? First of all, Carlisle is objectively the most interesting character in this narrative. If the story was about Carlisle, this would have been very interesting. Or if at any point Carlisle had sat down and talked to Bella or Edward and given his perspective as an immortal who is also the facilitator of the Cullen family existing and the facilitator of this sort of weird ethical pseudo-vegan vampire lifestyle. If Carlisle had talked about how he became a doctor, how he overcame his thirst, how he kind of like eventually transcended the life of a vampire, how he finds peace with immortality and with being like a creature that is a vehicle of death naturally while focusing on making sure he preserves life as a doctor, that would have been interesting. We didn't do that. We did not do that. If we had talked about any of the characters and their perspective on Edward and how they feel about Edward's relationship to Bella, that could have been interesting. I think it would have been interesting to pick somebody like Rosalie's brain about how she feels, not just about Bella, because it's always about Bella, right? So one of the scenes in the show, Bella's like, why do you hate me? And Rosalie's like, I don't hate you. I'm jealous of you. I wish I could have chosen not to do this. You have a choice and you're choosing wrong. You are immortal. You're going to choose to be immortal and eternal, but you're going to be stagnant forever and you can't move forward with your life or continue it. And I wish you wouldn't do that. Fine. That's interesting introspection. That's an interesting perspective to take. Now let's take a look at somebody like, I don't know, Alice or Emmett, or give Emmett any dialogue at all, or take a look at Jasper, and let's ask them how they feel about Edward. I feel we should have gone through the motion of at least seeing how they confront the idea of like, yes, it is strange that Edward's doing this. Yes, it is strange that Edward is bringing somebody willingly into this lifestyle. However, we've watched him be a mopey loser for 100 years. We know he's depressed. We know he thinks he's a creature of sin and nightmares, and that he is bad by nature, and we hope this makes him happy. It would be interesting to watch that conflict within the other vampires of like, this is objectively, morally, probably not a good thing he's doing, but we love him like a brother, and we want him to be happy. That would have been interesting, but they sure didn't do that. I don't even know what Midnight Sun is, so no. But yeah, it's a little annoying that like a lot of these perspectives aren't written from. Even like the few scenes where we see Jacob interacting with that young werewolf and his sister, that would have made a better solo series. I would have rather watched Jacob in the fucking wolf pack. Like, I'd have rather watched that. They had more chemistry in the 30 seconds they got on screen alone than the entire vampire cast, just in general. Very annoying, very frustrating. Midnight Sun is Edward's side of the story. It's bad, of course it is. Of course it is. Once I almost wrote a fanfic where Charlie was the main character, and he would have formed a throuple with Carlisle and Esme. Whoa. You're saying he had the language to describe the polyamory that Jacob couldn't? Whoa. Incredible. And thank you for the soup, by the way. That would have been a better story still. Hakkitos! Welcome in. Thank you, Hakka, for the raid. My name is Crimzon Ruze. I'm Elysium's greatest monster hunter. I am the Midwest Fantasy VTuber. I'm your least favorite idol, and today I'm discussing the Twilight series and why I'm frustrated with it. I just got done ranting about Alice and also Edward and Jacob. Play what? I ain't playing no fucking Silent Hill. You're out of your damn mind. No, thank you. Thanks for this. Thanks for the raid, though. And thank you, Servaday, for the 10 gifted chips. Damn. I'm not playing Silent Hill F. No, thank you. Dude, it's so fucking good. Imanahe, thank you for the 10 gifted chips. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I ain't playing no Silent Hill F. No, thank you. Nuh-uh. You'll hold my hand? Oh. Oh, you don't have to give me another reason not to play. I already wasn't gonna. I'm sorry, that was mean. Truly evil. It's true. Hey, welcome to Morning Latte. It's where I talk about whatever I'm thinking about this week. This week it's Twilight. It's not even as scary. Even a coward like you can handle it. Trust. First of all, not a coward. Second of all, I don't care. Ailson the Brewer. Please, that's such a good story about female psychology and suppression. It's so good. This is coming from a non-horror gamer as well. I'm still not playing it. You know what? Maybe at 100K I'll consider it, but listen, there's a lot of good horror games out there with good analyses of different types of psychology and such, but sorry, I gotta stick to my guns. Sorry. Thanks for 16 months though. I might just read a little synopsis of it. Maybe. It depends. While you were revisiting old teen novels, you should read the Ugly series and tell us how you feel about that world building. I've never read the Uglies. What is it? What's it about? Also, thank you for the soup. Subscribe to help the 100K horror game stream goal. Bleh. Hold on. Oh, wait a minute. You guys are getting me off topic. I was turning it around. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, the ways this could have been more interesting. Different perspectives it could have been written from. Different things they could have touched upon. Also, the world building that they just immediately scrap. Like, oh, werewolves, in their human form aren't that dangerous. Bella can apparently slap a werewolf, no problem. But she punches a werewolf in their human form and she shatters her fist, which is insane. Or apparently a werewolf can take a, absolute pummeling from her when she's a new blood, which is apparently such a strong type of vampire. They're just so strong. New bloods are so dangerous. Meanwhile, they win a fight against an army of new bloods somehow. And when Bella's a new blood and the strongest in the house because she's the main character, she can't hurt Jacob. She could punch Jacob in the chest in human form and he's fine. He deals with it. He shrugs it off. And then she yells at him about the Loch Ness Monster, which is funny. Objectively funny. Finrear Live says, if you like Twilight's potential, check out the Mercy Thompson books. They're pulpy, but they have cool world building and awesome characters, especially the main character whose self-destructive altruism is peak. That sounds really good. I'll take a look at it. Thank you. You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster? That was funny. I'm sorry. Danny, thank you for the soup as well. And the popcorn. Trekkie says, Meyer also wrote a gender swap version of Twilight, but it's bad because all the characters are exactly the same besides pronouns, except Bella's parents aren't swapped because single mothers shouldn't have custody. Oh. Cool. Yay. Well, anyway... Like I said, I am both legally obligated to not talk about lifestyle choices. And also, I am obligated by the rule of no bummers to not talk about lifestyle choices, no matter what my personal thoughts on them are. So, instead, I will give you a thinly veiled air of disapproval that anybody could read through, but somebody will misinterpret anyway because they want to willingly take my lack of discourse or put words in my mouth as a confirmation of their biases or confirmation of a reason to dislike me, which is fine because I like when they dislike me. Anyway, I see that corporate color glowing. You better believe it, baby. No, you said color. It's too late. So, Crimzon Ruze hates moms? True. Every mom. Every mom. Somebody just got hurt by that. Somebody got stabbed in the heart. Somebody said, damn, he's serious. He hates me. No, I don't. Chill. You're all right. Brother, Zuna says, what was your favorite of the vampire powers? I'm not going to answer your question. Instead, I'm going to use your question as a vehicle to leapfrog into my next point that I'm super fucking pissed about. Stephanie Meyer so clearly wanted to write a fucking X-Men novel. Why didn't you just write an X-Men novel, dude? You wanted a superhero fanfic. You wanted to write about superheroes, and you decided to write about sparkly fucking vampires anyway. And also, while I'm on the fucking topic, why the fuck do the vampires not have any of the problems of being a vampire? Like, yeah, you're damn right, Bella's like, ooh, I want to be fucking immortal at 18. Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. What's the downside? Edward's like, oh, it's such a cursed existence. You don't get it. You have to watch everybody around you die. Why? Why? Why do I have to watch everybody around me die? Why, Edward? Why can't everybody be a vampire? There's no downside. There's no downside. There's no problems. There's no bad part to being a vampire in this universe. You don't die in the sun. The water's not an issue. You're immortal. You don't have to shit. You don't have to eat. You don't have to sleep. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Half of you get actual X-Men superpowers. What the fuck? You don't have any of the interesting allegory or metaphor around vampires and the suffering they have to undergo with immortality and how a half-life lived forever is not better than a life lived fully. No, none of that. You get to live forever and you're still a mopey, whiny bitch about it. You can play any video game. You can read every book, but instead you sit in your fucking house and cry. Fuck off. Ah! True Babylon Goggles. Thanks for the soup. Dude, I'm gonna fucking lose it. Like, yeah, you told an 18-year-old you could be young forever, have, like, the perfect fucking, like, musculature, no, like, disease or age or anything going wrong with you. You don't have to sleep. You don't have to eat. You don't have to do anything. Read your books, play your games, hang out with your loved ones. Doesn't matter. And if you want them to live forever, you can make them live forever because they could just go and eat a fucking deer. I don't give a shit if they're hungry. Apparently, they could choose a fucking vegan lifestyle. So it's not really that big a deal. I showed my guy friend Twilight in the middle of the series, and this is the first time he had to question everything. And it makes them prettier, apparently, somehow. So Rosalie kind of got fucked out of her superpower. Everybody's pretty. You can't hate the series more than Robert Pattinson himself. Yes, I can. Jasper's powers annoy me. Yeah, Jasper's powers annoy me too. You want to know why? Because he doesn't fucking use them. He doesn't fucking use them. Use your superpowers, you dumb motherfucker. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. They just write shit to write shit. Nothing's even happening. Jasper's superpower is he can manipulate people's emotions and make them feel some type of way, which is great, except he doesn't use it, except for one-liner where someone's like, Jasper, no fair using your powers on me. And it's like a little fucking like it's a short story beat for a second that he made someone like a little bit happier than they should have been. Motherfucker could have literally just walked up to the Volturi and be like, actually, you're deathly afraid of me now. You were deathly afraid of me. That's it. That's all you had to do. No, I won't use my powers in any combative sense. Why would I do that? Huh? Maybe he was using it the whole time and he's actually the main villain. Yeah, maybe. You feel like you're going to shit your pants. Exactly. He could have been like, listen, Jasper is dealing with a bunch of immortal people who haven't felt bodily functions in millennia. All he had to do was, yeah, Thomas, unironically, make a vampire feel like they're going to shit their pants. Do you know how disturbing that would be after 100 years of not using the bathroom? You probably forgot what that feels like. Make a vampire feel like they're going to shit their pants. That would be the funniest use of your powers. I'd cast loosen your bowels. They'd be like, damn it! Damn it! You can't get rid of the you can't get rid of the feeling. I'm just saying. He's not the main character? Who, Jasper? Well, yeah, he's not the main character. He just needs to fucking use his powers in a believable way. You know who else isn't the main character? Fucking Bakugo. They still use him. He still exists. I don't know. Legolas ain't the main character. He's still out there fucking one-shotting orcs and shit. That's right. Jasper literally used his power on Bella, who's immune to superpowers. She's immune to superpowers, but for that one funny ha-ha moment so that Bella could have an ounce of personality for a second, he got to use his powers on her. For why? For why? Charlie was done dirty. I'm not done talking about these superpowers. I am not done. Why was Emmett out arm wrestled by Bella? Oh, because she's a new blood. She's the strongest in the house right now. Shut the fuck up. His literal only superpower that is said from day one is that he's stronger than other vampires. He's super strong. In a world where these people can throw trucks willingly, when you say he's super strong, I want this motherfucker to pick up a house. I do not accept that he can lift like 2 more kilograms than them, okay? No. No. That's not super strong. That's like being like, yeah, my buddy Kevin, he can actually bench press 220, but I can only bench press 215. That's not super strength. What are you saying? I mean, if his power's being strong and she's immune to power, okay, so when Bella touches Rosalie, does she turn into does she jump into the young adult novel The Uglies? Is that what happens? Huh? If Bella touches Jasper, does he turn into an emotionless husk? Her powers block powers from affecting her, not other people. It doesn't make sense. I'm so mad, dude. I'm so mad, dude. And then the whole New Bloods arc was just fucking incredibly stupid. It could have been interesting, but it was dumb. Why the fuck did this one random fucking vampiress have a better idea for how to deal with these vampire Cullens than the entire Volturi? And why didn't the Cullens use the same fucking plan to fight the Volturi? Has nobody ever thought of this? Oh, well, New Bloods are so dangerous. They're unstoppable. They're so powerful. No one could compete against them. The Volturi show up with like 20 dudes. 20 fucking dudes. Nobody in the history of vampires has thought, oh, I'll just change 40 people and then send them at the Volturi to kill them. Nobody? Come on. I'm so mad, dude. Oh, I'm so mad, dude. Can we talk about the baby? Was she born a vampire? Yes. Is she gonna grow up? Yes. In 7 years, apparently, which is supposed to make it okay, I guess, that Jacob falls in love with a baby. And not only does that not make it okay, do you think about the consequences of what you're saying right now? Jacob is an 18-year-old boy who fell in love with a baby. First of all, ew. Fucking brother, Second of all, even if she's a fully grown adult by 7 years old, she's gonna have the mind of a child, and even if she doesn't, she doesn't age. He's a fucking werewolf, not an immortal. So she's gonna be fucking an adult until he's an old dead man, and then he's dead. Then what? What's Jacob gotta follow the fucking Cullens around for the next, I don't know, 80 years of his life before he dies? He's gotta fucking hang out with these losers, watch them be immortal until he dies? And then what happens to her fucking soulmate if they're bonded by soul or whatever? Then what? Huh? Then what? It doesn't... I'm gonna... Ooh. I'm so mad, dude. I have never read Interview with a Vampire now. It's implied that why Jacob was in love with Bella was her future baby. That's so fucking weird, dude. That's so fucking weird. Bella, no. You don't understand. It's not like that. I'm just in love with your eggs, Bella. I'm sorry, what? Pardon? Yeah, dude, it's just... Let me get a sniff of those eggs, baby girl. I'm so... What? What did you just say? Also, you know what? While we're talking about gross shit, I don't want to be nasty, but Edward, all of you fucking Cullens, there are very few worse places you could put yourself in than around like a fucking high school. If you're a bunch of vampires who are trying so hard not to hurt people, you put yourself in a situation where you were around a bunch of vulnerable, like undefended children. It's so weird. It's so nasty. You guys are fucking freaks for that. You put yourself in maybe the worst scenario of vulnerable people who cannot protect themselves. And you're like, oh, we do this every once in a while because like reasons. And then we make a graduation cap wall. It's weird. It's creepy. And aside from all of that, it's dangerous and cruel. It's not okay. You guys are so evil for that. Why aren't they living on a fucking oil rig? And if it's, because like it's already torturous enough to be a vampire, like why can't we live life? Fuck off. Go fuck yourself. You're in the era of modern media. Go watch fucking, I don't know, fucking Chris Angel Mind Freak or something. Go do something with yourself. Jesus fucking Christ. I know you got something better to do than hang out in high school. Write a book. Watch TV. I don't know, dude. They own an island. Maybe multiple. Would they subsist on fish blood if they lived on an oil rig? Yeah, why not? They're trying to live as normal a life as they can. That's what I get. Hey, man. A 109-year-old boy going to high school for like the 27th time ain't normal. He could get a job. Let him get a job. They should get into VTubers? No. Walking in and out of this rant while doing laundry is the best choice. Let's fucking go. They have so much money that they're bored with it. That I could accept, maybe. But even then, dude, like, why high school? Go to a college if you want to better yourself or learn something or, like, be around, like, I guess the vibrancy of life or whatever. Like, why, man? Why? I don't get it. Yeah, let Edward work at a lighthouse. That's traditionally gone very well for Robert Pattinson. Come on. They could be VTubers. Bro, I'm not kidding. I am actually a little frustrated with the superpower thing because it's implied their superpowers manifest in minor forms before they become vampires. So I guess Rosalie's superpower is that she's like super beautiful, and that probably manifested before she was a vampire. And Bella's superpower is that she's immune to superpowers, I guess, and that manifested by her being unable to have her mind read or some shit. And my question is, was Emmett super strong before this? Did he get fucking robbed of his like Smallville arc? And could he have just been a superhero? Is this set in the same universe as The Incredibles? That's what I'm asking. Could Emmett just be a superhero instead of a vampire? You're never too sober for me to derail something, Puffy. That's my job. That's my thing. That's my jam. Could Edward read vibes before turning? Edward was an empath before turning. That's it. Would your superpower be surgically criticizing any media? My superpower is... I'm an empath. My superpower is most people aren't as clever as they think they are, and they're easy to read because they wear their fucking emotions on their sleeves and they think they're good manipulators, but it's actually transparent as fuck. Ooh. Sorry. Edward was 6'1" and respected women before turning? Oh my god, that's crazy. He did that? Damn. Damn, dude. Did he drink matcha lattes? Was he also reading feminist literature? Yes. Yes. I actually just watched a fucking video about performative males, and I think that's kind of funny. It was the Curtis Connor video, Menard. How'd you know that? He didn't say folks and clap his hand, though, so I hate him. Shaming got bastardized into shaming people for their genuine interests, says Yofi. Yeah, I agree. I think that obviously there's a line to be drawn there. There's always been performative people. There will always be performative people. And obviously, you're going to get people who like are shamed for being performative, and sometimes rightfully so. I'm going to say it. I think gatekeeping can be funny sometimes. I think gatekeeping within the right context, within the right use case, and with a heavy dose of what's the word I'm looking for? When used with a very light, gentle touch is a good thing. I think gatekeeping certain people out of certain spaces is a good thing. That's it. However, usually that only applies to people who have bad reasons to be in a space. But I think that performative people can be very annoying, and I get that. It can be very annoying to deal with people who don't actually like the things you like and pretend to like it because they want you to like them, etc., etc. That can be very frustrating to tolerate, and especially when it becomes an en masse problem where people constantly do it. However, I think that you cannot know off rip just from looking at someone if they're being performative. You have to at least let them open their dumb mouth and reveal themselves to be performative first. And I think maybe as a society, we have a bad habit of looking at someone and making a snap judgment without first hearing them out. And that's not good. Is being performative similar to going through a phase? So I think being performative is different because the goals differ. I think performative is defined by what you seek to get out of the performance. Going through a phase is more, I feel like, trying to find yourself, and it's about self-discovery, right? So like if you go through an emo phase, or you go through a fucking, I don't know, a nerd phase, and you're just trying to find new things to be interested in, or you're trying to find a group to belong with or a place to belong, and you're just kind of awkward about it and you haven't quite figured it out, that's one thing. Performative is largely defined by pretending to be a certain way without a genuine interest in those things, with the sole goal of being liked, often by an individual within that group that you were trying to perform as, or by that group as a whole. So performative woke males is the current topic that people are super popular about talking about. And I don't want to get super into this because it's probably not the right space to do that. And I don't have the platform where we could talk with the nuance we need to talk about that. However, performative feminism or performative woke males is a current media thing that seems to be relatively popular, and it's the idea that guys will try to appear less threatening or more like interested in feminist literature or matcha lattes or dressing in like soft boy core in the attempts to get women to like them or feel safe around them so that they can take advantage of that safety. Is this the case? I think that a lot of people are just going through a phase or are truly looking for themselves and are trying to find a place to belong. However, you can usually fucking tell pretty quick if someone's being performative. I've worked with a lot of performative dudes who are performatively like intellectuals, air quotes, or performatively like hyper-feminist, or performatively a lot of things. Performatively, like, honestly, even the idea of hyper-masculinity is usually performative, and it's a show you put on for other men so you can appear like one of the boys. So, it depends. It depends. They want the image, status, or benefits of knowing the thing without actually putting in the work to know the thing. Yeah, basically. But I will say, specifically in the context of performatively, like, performative men and the current scenario we're talking about, I mean, if it's getting them to read literature that broadens their perspective, that's probably a net good, dude. Is this what my generation called being a poser? Yes, that is what you're thinking of. It's being a poser with a goal. Are they reading the book or just carrying the book? I don't know, dude. It's on an individual basis. Like I said, don't judge a book by its cover, brother. Don't just assume that they're being performative because they're carrying around a book that seems like it's for status. Maybe, I mean, if you care enough, get to talking to them and see if they, I don't know, are actually learning anything or growing as a person or doing whatever it is they're trying to pretend to do or actually doing. You never know, dude. You never know. The point is that they don't read that literature, nor do they intend to, but you don't know. You can't know if they're actually doing that. The point is, yes, some are, some aren't. Ice Key says, Loki reminds me of the fake gamer girl claims that used to go around years ago. 100%. That is exactly what we're dealing with. We've just flipped the narrative. So the idea is that if a girl is wearing, a few years ago, the idea was if a girl was wearing any sort of memorabilia that was nerdy or associated with, like, you know, young men liking it, that they were being performative to make young men like them or to seem like one of the boys. You can't know that because you don't know that person. There's red flags, there's behaviors that can clue you in to if they're being performative, but you can't know it off rip just because they're repping some sort of media or, you know, some franchise that you think is for men. You don't know that. Just like if a dude's wearing or reading, I don't fucking know what you consider performatively male media, fucking Anne Rice or whatever. If a guy's reading that doesn't mean he's being performative. You don't know. You gotta, unfortunately, this is the reality. You don't know about someone until you talk to them or hear them talk. That sucks. But it's the truth. The script is flipped, and I'm gonna fucking say it. I think a part of this script is specifically to scare young men off of, like, broadening the perspective and taking feminist literature. I think it's a shaming tactic. I think that some people are actually feeling a little bit threatened or feeling annoyed by performative people in their spaces, but I think a good portion of this is people recognizing they can use this narrative to shame people who are trying to broaden their perspectives. I think a good portion of this is you don't know this, but you are inadvertently pushing the agenda by shaming these people out of these spaces without actually checking whether or not they're genuinely interested in being in these spaces. You are pushing an agenda for people who don't want you to exist, and that sucks. You don't know you're doing this, but you're pushing their agenda. So don't do that. Just give people a chance. Let them be a part of your space, man. This applies to a lot of spaces. I know somebody out there's like, oh, here comes woke Ruze. Here comes woke Ruze talking about feminism. And see, he must be, wow, he's so performative himself. That's fine. Think what you want, brother. You can think what you want about me. However, I think this applies to many spaces, not just feminism. This applies to a lot of different things. There are many spaces that young men, young women, and non-binary people try to get into or put themselves into and understand that they are run out of because they are seen as being performative. And that is fair because sometimes people are performative, but give people a chance. Let people try to be a part of that space. Don't assume the worst from Jump Street. Yeah. Performative meaning, well, we just talked about this, Lord V, but performative meaning somebody who doesn't actually intend to be a part of that culture or space and is just acting out being a part of it so that they can be well-liked or gain something from it. We did arrive at this topic through Twilight somehow. Now, obviously, this does not come at the expense of your boundaries. Lay down your boundaries. Don't let somebody push past them. You know, make sure that you're staying safe out there and that you're keeping, you know, a critical eye on anybody in your spaces, anybody you interact with, just to be safe. But, you know, give people a chance. Lily Gilly says, to the point of Curtis Connor, he's being called performative entirely based off the appearances by people who clearly haven't listened to his takes or seen his content. Curtis Connor's being called performative because he doesn't subscribe to their ideal of masculinity and because he thinks that, like, he has occasionally said that women should have an opinion and rights. And to some people, that is enough to be performative. To some people, it is unthinkable, unbelievable that somebody would say that equality is a good ideal to live up to, or equity in some cases. They just don't believe that anybody could ever think that truly, and that it is entirely performative and it's to earn something. And to that, I say, if you live in a reality where you believe that everybody ever who has a moral compass and wants a world where people can all be on equal footing is performative, you are objectively, genuinely a very pessimistic and probably very bad person. At best, I hope that you feel beaten down by the world and you are sad that the world is the way you believe it is. At worst, I think that you want it to be that way and you feel you'll benefit from it. And you know what? Fuck you very much. I hope you get what you deserve. At best, I hope you get better and you stop being so jaded and cynical. At worst, I hope you get what you deserve. the point of all of this is not to like demonize people. Just give people a chance in your spaces. Let them try to be a part of your community if they actually have a genuine interest. But obviously, keep your boundaries strong. Make sure you're enforcing your boundaries. Don't let people like step past those. No, I'm done with Twilight. I've ranted about Twilight enough. I went on enough Twilight rants, brother. But I will talk about another thing I've been thinking about this week. And this is about where we get into the segment where I just talk about a bunch of random bullshit that are not interconnected in any way. One thing I've been thinking about this week is how it's weird that some animals have 3 eyes. Isn't that crazy? I didn't think there was any animals that had 3 eyes, but then I Googled it and some lizards do.